Hey guys, okay, so I do have to say I think it helps that I just came back from a yoga retreat and that I was so great at meditating every day and doing 2 yoga classes a day, so it's like 3 hours of yoga a day. So spiritually, I'm grounded and settled more so than many other times in my life. So I was at this yoga retreat for 6 days. On Saturday that I left, was notified that my nephew had passed away by suicide. So it's my sister, my older sister's son, and she also has a daughter, my niece. And Zach was 33 years old. I don't know how old my niece is. She's 6 years younger, so 26, maybe 26, maybe 26, 27. And we're really close. Okay, so Tuesday, I get an email. I'm going to show you guys the email right now. Okay, Tuesday, I get an email. And in my inbox, you guys, just, like a mass email. Okay, this is it. Okay, so I want you to see the date, November 12th, which was Tuesday. Okay, Michelle Livingston, the People's Medium, suicide from a spiritual perspective, right? And have you lost someone close to you by suicide? So this is 3 days after. So if I know on Saturday, this is 3 days after, right? So I get it. I'm like, wasn't that interesting? Okay, not a coincidence. And so I messaged one of my friends and I screenshot it and I sent it to her. I'm like, okay, am I supposed to do something with this? Like, am I supposed to share it with my sister? Am I supposed to share it with my niece? I'm not sure. And the friend that I shared it with, she had lost her father at a really young age. And she's like, maybe you share it, right? So I was like, okay. So what I did is I emailed it to my niece. This is on Tuesday. And then Wednesday, I'm talking to my niece and I was like, okay, did you get that email? She's like, no, I didn't get an email from you. It's like 4:30 in the afternoon. And this lady is going live at 6 o'clock. She's like, I didn't get the email. I'm like, okay, what's your email address? I want to send you something. So I sent it to her, and then I do want to share with you guys just some of the stuff. Oh, I sent it to her. She's like, oh, this is so cool. She's like, she knows. She's like, okay, I'm definitely going to watch it. So, and then we go audio back and forth a little bit. And then, so at one point I'm like, okay, I want to read these to you guys. She's like, okay, mediums are so interesting to me. I'm like, oh, I know. Awesome. So I go, are you on? She goes, yep. I go, okay, me too. I'm like, okay, good. So then we just go back and forth and we're just writing a little bit on what this lady is saying about this spiritual perspective and what it's like for people who possibly commit suicide, what it's like for them living in the afterlife or living in the other side. And so my niece and I are just, writing back and forth what our thoughts about, it's her older brother and it's my nephew, writing back and forth. And then at one point they say, Michelle says, okay, so we'll be taking some live callers. You guys, if you want, if you want to dial in and you have a question, you want me to try and connect, we'll go ahead and dial in. And so I say, are you going to call in? She goes, I don't know. Okay, so we go back and forth a little bit. Go back and forth a little bit. And then she says, I was on hold, but the call failed. So then I knew she had called in. So I go, well, call again. Maybe you get in, maybe you don't. She goes, okay, I'm on hold now. So then she was on hold. And I was like, okay, if you get dropped again, probably not supposed to connect, right? If you call in and you don't get chosen, great, not supposed to connect, nothing to lose. If you call in and you get chosen, I was like, you're supposed to get chosen. She's like, okay, totally agree. And then it froze for me. So I was like, can you hear anything? She was like, yeah, it's still on for me. So I was like, well, are you on Facebook? Where are you listening to this? She goes, yeah, Michelle. She's talking to the lady's mother right now who had passed. And I'm like, okay, got it. And then I was like, okay, I'm on. Okay. And then my niece is like, oh, she's good, right? And we're just talking back and forth. Well, then all of a sudden I hear, you guys, okay, our next caller is from area code, and they say the area code, and I was like, it's you. And she's like, oh my gosh. And so we're just going back and forth on Facebook, and she says, Michelle says, did you, hello, and have you had somebody that's passed? And she said, yeah, my brother passed a week ago. And Michelle was like, she's like, okay, it's too soon. Usually these, spirits don't come through. And I kind of knew that too. It's like it's more sometimes than a week than a spirit connects, and Michelle's like, okay, no, I'm connecting. And she starts talking about, she's like, okay, was your brother this and was your brother that? And my niece was, talking back and forth with her, and she's like, yes, and talked about music. And and talked about this dog. And I said to my sister, when I talked to my sister initially too, my sister is the mother, right, of my nephew. And I said, I bet you he was greeted by Tucker, right? Tucker was like the family dog. And then this lady mentions like, is there a family dog? And Michaela goes, Tucker. And I was like, I knew Tucker. So it was in the end, you guys. So Michaela and I are messaging back and forth, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm bawling. And she's like, I'm bawling too. And Michaela goes, I'm so glad that I did it. I'm like, me too. I'm so proud of you. And I kept saying, I'm like, do you know how brave you are? It's so brave of you to do that. Right. And she's like, I feel so relieved. And I'm like, I'm so happy for you. And she's like, oh, I so needed that. And then she goes, Tucker. I'm like, I know, I mentioned your mom, Tucker, so it's just, so I was like, I'm so proud of you for being so brave. And then she's like, do you know if they resaved these? I'm like, yes, it was on Facebook Live. She's like, oh yeah, that's right. I was physically shaking, and it was just great. It was so great. And then, she's, okay, she goes, and then later she's like, I watched it 3 times already because it's on Facebook Live, right? You can go back and watch it. She's like, thank you for encouraging me to do it. And so it's just, and then, I mentioned the original friend, right? And I sent her a voicemail today, and she was the one that her dad passed when she was like 20 years old. And I was like, okay, get a load of this. And I share the story. And my friend was like, Amber, what a beautiful gift, right? That Michelle was able to offer Michaela, by connecting with Zach so that Michaela could feel like he was, safe and at peace, and he had a sense of humor. And my friend was like, okay, if somebody would have offered that to me, when my dad passed, she goes, it would have saved me years of agony. I'm like, no, it's all on purpose. Everything is all on purpose. And it's just really awesome because like Michaela today, my niece is like, it's, you guys, I can't imagine being my sister or Michaela. He's my nephew, and I was very close to him as an aunt, but it's just like to understand a little bit about spirits and their choices and how they feel on the other side, and their sense of humor, and they maintain their personality. And it's pretty awesome that he was able to connect, and so that she had a little bit of peace, so that Michaela could have a little bit of peace, and she felt, she feels like he's at peace. So all right, now you guys, we're so in flow right now. I was talking to 2 other friends tonight, and it's like once you get in flow a little bit and you get connected, and then you're aware and you're like watching and you're looking for it, you guys. It's like sometimes we're so task focused. I am so task focused. Look at me. I'm doing a Facebook Live with a Sharpie in my hand, right? So and I fly out at 6 a.m. I got to get up at 4 a.m. and I'll get up in 4.5 hours. And just like we're so task focused as humans, sometimes we just don't sit long enough to be at peace without social media, right? And connect.